Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. It's tip-top pro-level custom 3v3 action on the cards this afternoon. How very exciting. First of all, quick message coming in from Mephi. We'd like to remind everybody that the new balance patch mod or test mod is available to play. That's the mod where you get to try out all of the little changes they're planning to make here at FAF, and that is live. People are already enjoying that, but they need more testers. They need to make sure that all the little changes they're planning to make work out nicely. So your game needs you. Just imagine me with a big sort of tall top hat with stars on it pointing out through the screen. That's it. It needs you to come and play the game. And send me replays as well, guys. It's really important. Mephi actually wanted me to cast a game between, I think it was him and Jagged. But the replay didn't make the grade. And I'm not just saying that because it was a 1v1 cyber and mirror matchup. I would have had to have flagellated myself. Yes, that's a word. Whilst casting that, as I always do. There were other shortcomings as well. It was close, but it wasn't quite there. So I would very much like some more decent games on that mod, so I can maybe walk you through some of the proposed changes. I know they're trying to realign T3 with T2 so that there's not quite such a big leap, so T2 holds its ground a little bit better in the later game. The only problem with that, of course, is that means that the Percivals won't be so effective against the experimental phase, which means UEF will have massive issues once again. I'm not at all biased in any way, shape or form. I think you guys should just bite the bullet, message to developers of FAF or modders, bite the bullet and grab that huge walker from Black Ops, the UEF walker, and just import it, and then it's just job done, and there's no more issues. You can go ahead, nerf T3 across the board to your heart's content, obviously in line, and make it sensible. But that is just an idea. I'm just floating that out there. You don't have to take any notice of me, of course, as you usually don't. Alright, on to today's game. As I said, it's going to be a custom 3v3, and it's going to take place on Harundax Canyon 3v3. I'm ready, you guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Ka-ching, ka-ching. There we go. Now, you see the name, Harundax, seems very familiar to me, because I'm sure I've said that, and I'm sure I thought, how do you pronounce that before? So I think this isn't new, but nonetheless, we'll give you a quick rundown. So essentially, you've got the two teams, one here, we'll call this Team 1 at the top, and one here down at the bottom we'll call Team 2. And then you've got 3 avenues of attack, one through the middle and then 2 flanks, 4 mass to grab in the center with 2 associated mass at the end of each one of these kind of elevated positions. If we take a quick look in 3D view, I've gone a bit far there. Camera work not on par today, apologies for that. So 2 plateaus which you can use to station units or defensive structures to defend, or indeed attack if you manage to capture it and fire down on your opponents. But anyway, lots of mass dotted around the map, so map control as always important on these kind of maps. Let's take a look at our teams going. It's not really rear guard air position, is it? I was about to say that. It's kind of all in line. No one's necessarily dedicated air, but here he is anyway. He's going Cyber and bless him in electric blue. Gotta love that color. And it's Queer Noob opening first land. Next up, going UEF, already on the move, it's Eco Noob, strutting his stuff out towards the center, I'm sure, and he opened first land as well, getting that hydro importantly there in the background. And last but not least, for Team 1, we have Unicorn Noob, so it is very much the team of noobs there for Team 1, definitely not noobs if their ratings are anything to go by. Anyway, he's going Seraphim in Cyanide Scion, opening first land. Let's take a look at Team 2. Down here at the bottom, we have none other than Jagged Appliance. He's going Seraphim, opening first land there, going second air. And next up, team member number 2, doing a distance build up the cliff there is Heaven. He is gone Aeon, and he's opened first land, going second land there on the plateau, and another distance build happening with his partner to the left. This time it's UEF, and his name isn't, trust me, I'm an engineer, his name is Taquito, so abandoning his very customary Cybran, but not his very customary combat green, which he's rocking in full fashion here today. And as we said, opening first and second land, going third land as well. So a lot of production capacity being built up here on the cliff. And another one there as well for Team 2. What's happening over here for the strat for Team 3? So a slightly different layout. It would seem Unicorn Noob sticking put in the center of his base with his ACU. And we have some movement on the ground. Eco Noob and Queer Noob going towards the center, and they seem quite far ahead of their opponent in that respect. Both Heaven and Taquito still working on their distance builds for the time being, but that does mean they've got 4 land factories up on this central plateau. A little bit of an engagement between some scouts over here. That's gone better for the Selen there of Unicorn Noob, but he's about to come a cropper when he runs into a Tham there, although he's probably engaged stealth. There we go. Mr. Naughty, Naughty, Cloaky, Cloaky, we like you so much. Off that Tham goes, none the wiser. Well, he would have known that the smouldering wreck of his colleague there will indicate that there's something nearby, but nothing he can do about it. In comes another Tham there for Unicorn Noob, we can see. But already at the center now, we have Eco Noob and Queer Noob, and they're hurriedly busying themselves getting those mass extractors online. They're going to face some opposition in the form of some T1 units, which are rolling off the conveyor belts in great numbers from those 4 land factories. Spammed up there by Taquito and Heaven, but 2 ACUs will be more than enough match for that T1 spam. Eco Noob rooted to the spot for the time being, though, as he grabs an upgrade on his commander, and that will be the T2 upgrade, as we can see there in the allied chat. The odd T1 unit rolling in for Eco Noob as well, but certainly numerically wise, a larger contingent of T1 units for Team 2. Small band of T1 coming in from Queer Noob down that left flank. A couple of Mantis and a couple of Moles. Not going to get too much work done on the ground here. Going to run into some factories pretty soon. And those factories actually producing mech marines for the time being. I'm wondering if Taquito is lining up a good old-fashioned ghetto gunship. That may well be busted now that Queer Noob sneaking in the front door with the units will have alerted him to the production of said units. Could have just been for ground harass, of course. Quick reclaim on the engineer as well. A little bit of assistance there. And we're already at T2 air, and you can see a quick change up there. It looked like he had a transport on the go. And then he switched over to another transport. It didn't look like he was producing a transport initially. Interesting stuff. Maybe that was a T2 transport and he cancelled it there for a T1. That's probably the most likely sequence of events. Meanwhile, Unicorn Noob rolling forward with his ACU has bagged himself a little bit of map control on the eastern approach. Those midpoint mass extractors under his control. He's got a Selem with a Tham up front to warn him of any impending assault by Jagged Appliance. Jagged Appliance, though, seems much more concerned with the few Thams that have breached through from Unicorn Noob and made it down to the bottom right-hand corner. Might be about to lose a T1 mechs, very likely, in fact. Units rolling in. Well, there's a T1 bomber that might have something to say about that. But 74 hit points left. He actually abandons that and is going to roll on out to try and engage Thams coming his way. It's not going to work out too well. 4v1, and of course, had he stuck around to kill off that mass extractor, there would have been an NG around to rebuild it nice and quickly. Anyway, Eco Noob, meanwhile, back in the middle, fresh off his T2 upgrade, is starting work on a Triad, but a very different approach. So Unicorn Noob moving down the eastern flank with his comm has allowed the center to be taken up in arms by his 2 colleagues. So they've got 2 ACUs there for Team 1, but all 3 lurking and potentially making it look like they're going to make a drive down the center for Team 2. Upgrade on Taquito's comm completes the T2 engineering suite. but they've got a little bit of catching up to do. Eco Noob already has 2 triads online and is starting work on a shield gen. Queer Noob also getting an upgrade on his commander. And I missed what it was he was going for. Zoom out a little bit. That T1 bomber we saw rescuing the situation in the bottom right-hand corner for Jagged Appliance has moved on to harassment detail, but I think his days are numbered as an inti there for Unicorn Noob locks on to his heat signature. 1 triad online for Team 2, but it's not going to last too long. There it goes. Taquito was blocking half of the incoming fire with his commander's body. Jagged Appliance going for an upgrade as well. So we've got a good old-fashioned base war potentially on the cards here between these 2 teams in the middle of the map. Queer Noob about to finish his upgrade, but ultimately, assuming all of the ACUs, of course, for Team 2 remain in this portion of the map, there's going to be a lot more build capacity on the scene for Team 2. It's T1 ground versus T1 ground on the left flank, and we lost track of what was going to happen with that potential ghetto gunship. Probably got used and probably got shot down. Scratch that, it might have been a nice healthy donation over to Heaven, who's managed to sneak in a whole load of fervors. That T1 artillery in the back of Queer Noob's base, making a royal nuisance of themselves. 1 more shell on the Hydro will do it. What's that going to do to Queer Noob's power? Well, he's going to have to remind himself to target it first of all, though. Good work getting that air factory killed off. Hydro will survive. And pressure from Taquito has driven Queer Noob's Mantis spam right back up to the neck of that flank as well. So solid work being done on the ground and in the air for Team 2. That little assault costing Queer Noob his air factory and 3 mass extractors. Reasonably cost effective, and 1 further remains. Just 1 shell though would have taken out that Hydro. That definitely would have been worthwhile. Back at the center, Team 2 continue to tool up their ACUs. Team 1 continue to add defensive emplacements to their little central stronghold here. An attack missile launcher online with a few engineers assisting it as well. They want to get the first few missiles out of the silo and onto their targets before Team 2 get wise to the situation and start throwing up tactical missile defense. A couple of stingers hovering over on the west for Taquito. It's actually got that loaded up with something, not a function you see used too often. The UEF's ability to carry things with gunships, turn them into a little 1-man transport. Can even shove a mech marine on there to add a little bit more firepower to those gunships. All, of course, costing quite a lot in APM for diminishing returns, but still can be useful in certain situations. And Jagged Appliance really asserting himself on the eastern approach. Unicorn Noob losing units here, but has got a couple of Ilshavers out front, so he's transitioned to T2 land. It's holding its own just about, or they are holding their own just about, with the assistance of this T1 PD back here. Tham's advancing for Jagged Appliance. His attention might be elsewhere. There goes one of the Ilshavers, but Jagged Appliance about to run out of Thams. He probably would have done better to back up there. And another drop from Heaven sneaks in another platoon of fervors in the back, this time of Unicorn Noob's base. And they're going to go straight after a central T2 mechs there. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about eco yet. We'll look at it in a little while, but so far these guys not taking their foot off the accelerator here. So we've got a little bit of Ravager creep, so Taquito going straight for the T3 engineering suite on board the Commander. That's going to give Team 2 a significant advantage over Eco Noob and Queer Noob. We do have a couple of Clink Hammers online over here. That would have given them an advantage had they managed to dislodge this fire base, and it would have helped to force these ACUs back even further. But as it stands, Ravager creep going to be significantly difficult to deal with back here. The shield does go down. Triads opening up on Taquito's Commander. He'll be alright with that for the time being, because those shells aren't taking out their defensive emplacements. It's buying them time. Time for the Ravagers that have already killed the shield gen to go after the Clink Hammers and then the Triads. And you can see Queer Noob and Eco Noob already backing up. Eco Noob saying in allied chat, I can't do this alone. Queer Noob ignoring the obvious insult. About his lack of stage presence. Heaven rolling forward with his con, feeling emboldened by the recent destruction of the Triads. There goes the last two Clink Hammers as well. So this is a strong showing from Team 2. We forgot to say, incidentally, that the game quality is at 92.88%. That's a very close to what we considered a balanced game here. So very evenly matched teams in this one. All of these guys rated between 1600 and 1900. Queer Noob short stacking in ratings terms at 1600. And I hadn't actually realised it's a clan game. SNF versus E. E is Empire. SNF, not exactly sure what that stands for. Probably something noob related, as seem to enjoy that part of the naming convention. Another drop coming in for Heaven. Will he get them off in time? One very badly damaged artillery with 6 hit points left does manage to disembark. The transport makes a hurriedly forced exit with 403 hit points left on board. But those drops becoming harder to execute now in that portion of the map as Unicorn Noob gets more and more defenses online. Taquito's got a couple of TAC missile launchers on board. We never actually saw what happened to the TAC missile launch by Eco Noob in the center, whether that bagged many kills, but that's just unfortunately something that happens when you've got so much going on. You miss these things. Let's take a quick look at Ecos. We haven't done that yet, and Unicorn Noob, unless he's reclaiming, is by far and away in the lead on 101 mass per tick. That's a huge advantage over the rest of the field. He really has been ecoing hard, and if you can translate that into unit production quickly, Team 2 could find a major fight on their hands soon, as that ground in the center that they've recently won may soon become irrelevant. Attack missiles already being launched from Taquito's mini missile base in the center there, flying over the top of some TMD. TMD in the center getting taken out by another further drop from Heaven, who really is picking his locations nicely here. Off a fighter bomber overhead, gets shot down by one of Unicorn Noob's ASF, so he's transitioned to T3 Air, and that gives him by far and away an advantage over everybody else. We have got T3 Air emerging on the field now for Team 2 from Heaven, but currently he's working on engineers, just switched up to spy plane production, so ever so slightly behind the tech curve there, and Got a few demolishers out now for Eco Noob, but this is what we were talking about earlier. If you can station units on the plateau there and fire down on your opponents, that could go very nicely for you indeed. Lacking a little bit of unit tech there to take advantage of that positioning. Has got some fervors here, Heaven, to cause some damage. Going straight after the TMD, but overshooting slightly. One of the classic issues there with the FA engine. The ability for units to accurately compensate on different height maps. And another transport in for Heaven. Surely he's not going to land those. No, he's not. As 3 interceptors from Queer Noob lock on to that and take that down. But still, those transports have served Heaven well. He's got another one over here as well. But it's still very low tech coming out of Team 2 on the ground, coming through the center. Queer Noob chasing down these fervors and strikers coming out from Taquito and Heaven. But look at that, Taquito boldly going where no Team 2 ACU has gone before, just strolling straight out onto the plateau. Is he going to come up here and throw down a Triad or a Ravager would be even better? No, he's going to start work on a shield gen or two. This is very audacious stuff from Taquito. Trying to get that online. There it goes. Lucky shell from a Demolisher might take down the second shield gen before it goes online. Straight up to a SAM launcher after the radar, protecting himself from impending air attack. And this is good aggressive stuff here from Team 2, and this could spell absolute disaster for Eco Noob if he allows Taquito to get any defensive emplacements online up on this ridge. And there is the Ravager. Will it clear the brow of the hill? It's quite a sharp dip, actually. Oh, would you look at that? Eco Noob spoiling everybody's fun by getting Ravagers online himself over here. Shield gen's quickly taken down. I don't think Taquito's going to be able to hold this position. It was very audacious stuff. But facing off against fellow pros, they are tough guys to get strats like this past. And I think Taquito's bugging out now, recognizing the implausibility of this strat. And Eco Noob's going to chase him home with PD as he builds them at gradient down this slope. Taquito, this could be very embarrassing if you get yourself killed off here. Goes down into the red momentarily before regen brings him back up into the yellow, still absorbing T3 mobile artillery fire. He's down to 4,000 HP. Heaven and Unicorn Noob tangle overhead with their ASFs, and Taquito absorbs a strap bomber hit. That bomb connecting perfectly, dropping him down to around 1100 HP. The strap bomber did get shot down on that first pass, so Taquito making his way back, but goodness me, showing just how ballsy that maneuver was from Taquito. Could have gone horribly wrong. A second strap bomber there would have ended it all for him, and probably for Team 2. 20 minutes gone, and we can address the eco situation once again. And Unicorn Noob has well and truly fallen off his eco prioritization. In fact, has gone back ever so slightly. Well, he's back up to 107 now. He was about 105 last time we looked. But he's now been overtaken by Jagged Appliance on 116. That's his opponent he's facing directly on the other side of the map there. Taquito bounced to 113 momentarily, but unless he's capped on power, which he isn't, that was mass reclaim related. Queer Noob on 103, Heaven on 100, Taquito actually on 95, and Eco Noob down to 64. So definite advantage overall, I think, for Team 2. Unicorn Noob ahead on total score. He's reclaiming something big, surely. Yeah, spiking at 205 there. But look out. Taquito not out of the woods yet. Dips back under shield coverage in the center. Still has strap bombers harassing him. Shield gen down. Gets another one online just in time. There goes the strap bomber. But he's being chased by trebuchets and the odd demolisher as well. In fact, quite a lot of demolishers there from Eco Noob. Loyalists in tow now trying to defend these mobile artillery units against a quick T1 rush from Heaven and Taquito. Doing a pretty good job cutting these Lobos down. And once again, it seems like Taquito might have reached safe territory. But really, all of the action happening in the center. We're having the occasional clashes on the flanks here, but no significant application of pressure from either team. No tech coming down here. These all seem to be T1 skirmishes to date. Unicorn Noob on the other side of the map, we saw using a couple of Ilshivas there defensively. But look out, just as we say, there's been no tech presence. A Percival turns up. A couple of Titans wouldn't go amiss here either. Facing off against Spam. This is going to be overkill here. Going to be hoping that it takes a while for Queer Noob to recognize the danger. Heaven, meanwhile, with the personal shield gen on board that Aeon Commander, facing down Trebuchet and Demolisher fire, doing the Arundux Canyon can with his commander. Iteration in full flight today, and those loyalists we saw a moment ago pushed on further south, trying to knock out more units down here. It looks like they did a pretty good job. Lots of wrecks on the ground, but now they're being brutalized from the air by Spectres of Heaven. Where else would Spectres of Heaven come from but the air, after all? Interestingly, Unicorn Noob coming in, engaging shortly, and then backing back out when he definitely has an advantage at the air position. He could kill off all of those gunships, but maybe he's got something brewing over here with these strap bombers. A couple of ASS from Jagged Appliance trying to shoot those down, so there's probably a defensive pull here from Unicorn Noob to protect his strats. 1, 2, 3 strat bombers remain. That Percival going it alone against a couple of bricks, and a horde of T1 manages to kill off the brick furthest to the south before he finally succumbs to all of that incoming fire. And another drop, this time from Taquito, and a couple of Percivals on board that Aeon transport. Must have been Heavens. It's been transferred over. Cause some real damage here if he gets a drop close to something sensitive. These are all T2 mexes at the front. We've got one T3 mex back here, and T2 mex on an upgrade towards T3. But there we go. Experimental production underway in the base of Unicorn Noob, with some assistance there from Queer Noob as well. We also have one that I think is slightly further along there for Jagged Appliance. So 2 Ethotas soon to emerge on the field. Let's head back up to the top right where we saw that drop underway from Taquito. 2 Percivals make it in play. take down a mech, but then absorb 3 strat bombs. One of them misses it altogether, but another one getting taken out pretty comfortably in that pass. And those 3 strats should surely be able to take out that Percy before it does any more damage to the resourcing options. Nice left turn there from Taquito. Keeps it alive, and another little dupe. Doesn't quite manage to avoid the bombs, but it was good to look at nonetheless. Micro doesn't play as an important part as it does in some strategy games, but if utilised correctly, can still make a huge difference in FA. And Unicorn Noob's had enough of this. He's going to pull his commander out, get in range for an overcharge. Ever so slightly slower than the Percival, of course, so Percy will get into a sensitive spot once again, but he's very low on health. 2,000 hit points remaining. Takes out the T1 PD. Oh dear, but stops walking at a very inopportune moment. Gets another shot off, taking that T2 max down to 400 HP, but then gets overcharged by Unicorn Noob's commander. And now over in the west, it's time for Queer Noob to make some progress. Taquito's T1 band of merry men in full flight against superior numbers and superior tech of Queer Noob. 3 bricks emerging on the scene. Heaven does turn up with a restorer. T3 gunship going to try and tickle those bricks to death. It's enough to force Queer Noob to back up, but both Ithotas are online, so now this is interesting. Unicorn Noob sending his, as you would expect, down that eastern flank. It almost looks like Jagged Appliance is thinking about going up the center, but actually no, current waypoint does have him leading in that direction, so these experimentals not necessarily going to clash. Well, no, they have it differently now. Jagged Appliance turning right and indeed heading to that eastern canyon. Little drop from Queer Noob over at the bottom left hand corner. 1 mech's down. The transport didn't make it out alive, but the brick is functioning perfectly for the time being. Still in the yellow, down to around 5,500 at current reading. He will grab a T2 mechs there as well. This is good work on the ground from Queer Noob. Can he make it towards the T3 mechs down here or the T2 mechs over here? I doubt it very much. He's about to dip into the red. A couple of stingers and 2 restorers should finish that off. There it goes before it does any more damage. That Ithota from Unicorn Noob is just seeing if he can get some kind of solution. It's a very cratered edge there, and I think that map's been designed very specifically to shelter that past, so people can't do exactly what Unicorn Noob is trying to do. Maybe if he can get up over here, he might be able to open fire on the flare or the forward shield gen, but no guarantees. 28 minutes gone, and still no clear winners emerging as yet. Those TAC missile launchers for Taquito still going strong, firing against Unicorn Noob, but Unicorn Noob has a pretty robust set of TMDs in face, coupled with shielding, so not in any immediate danger. An upgrade on his commander. Can't quite see what it is he's working towards. Jagged Appliance continuing to move up that eastern flank. Unicorn Noob backing up. Has the assistance of some skyboxes as well from Eco Noob, so defended nicely from potential air attack. That's one thing we haven't done, is take a look at ASF numbers anytime recently. So 32 on the field there for Unicorn Noob, and that's the only ASFs on the field there for Team 1. And well, I think considerably more. An interesting Jagged Appliance transfers his over to Heaven's control for a better coordinated attack. And he's got 29 Seraphim AFSFs and another 11, must be UEF ones, no, sorry, Aeon ones, Coronas. Gunships sent out to tackle Jagged Appliance Ethota. Get engaged by Heaven, and somehow that engagement between the ASFs has gone better for Unicorn Noobs. Very nicely microed indeed. So an air advantage still with Team 1. Construction of a Fat Boy has been completed for Eco Noob, sorry. And he's sending that down the center, it would seem. Yep, there we go. And a strategic missile launcher has been completed for Unicorn Noob, so that opens the game up a little bit. And another strategic missile launcher under construction at the back here for Heaven, although that one's a long way away from completion. Another Ethota nearly complete there for Jagged Appliance. There it goes. Jagged Appliance still taking fire from the occasional Volfu over here. How that engage went so badly over in the east, I was too busy waffling and not paying enough attention to the actual micro. Definitely seemed like Team 2 had at least an even number of ASFs. Somehow went very badly indeed, but a nice little bit of pressure from Zuis, from Jagged Appliance, sending some disposable units up the middle and managing to snag a T2 Mex from Eco Noob for their trouble. And it's now Queer Noob that seems to lead the field in terms of mass. 260 for him. Next up's 240 for Heaven. And everybody else is sub 200. Jagged Appliance on 198 there. And then down to 161 for Taquito, 159 for Eco Noob. And interestingly enough, Unicorn Noob, who was so very prevalent on Eco in the early stages of this game, short stacking the field at 155. Elected official, apparently. That will be Senor Macron. And of course, can we just take a moment? I completely forgot. I'm a genius. I am 3 for 3. I should have been crowing all this time through the center. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, just check my presidential election special, the previous cast. 3 predictions down, 3 made. This one doesn't feel quite so satisfying. It had to be said. Probably because the polls had it the same answer, whereas Trump and Brexit were outsiders, outside shots, which I called. But nonetheless, it still feels good. The obligatory political slandering in the comment section was in full flow of that last cast as well, which is always nice to see. Guile stirring up political hornet's nest since 2016. That Fat Boy for Eco Noobs has taken a bit of a battering. That shield is at full power, but armor regenning is on around 5,200 HP. And would you look at the sheer number of TAC missile launchers that Taquito has in his central firebase now? It's absolutely ridiculous. A little engagement between the two Ethotas over here went just about fractionally better for Unicorn Noob. His experimental has around 9,800 HP left.
Strategic launch detected.
And there goes the nuke for Unicorn Noob. Now the question is, where's it going? It's going straight into the main base in between Jagged Appliance and Heaven. Jagged Appliance has strategic missile defense, but it's not loaded. He's already getting his shiny metal backside out of there. And in fact, just about everything looks like it's evacing. Very sensible too. That was definitely the likely avenue of attack. Quick control K of stuff that's obviously going to die. Oh, in fact, that's a block. Excuse me, the nuke was blocked by planes circling overhead. I was waiting for the missile to come down. So as a result, that probably, if you look where it actually landed, that would have done significantly more damage. Team 2 surviving just about. I don't know whether that was intentional or not, but it was a lovely thing to see. Superbly played. Team 2 actually keep a large portion of their base intact after that explosion. Heaven still working on that strategic missile launcher. More incentive than ever. Unicorn Noob complaining about the lack of destruction in the main base. Air block correctly identified as the reason, and a huge TAC missile strike from Taquito. Still not enough to penetrate. That was going straight for Unicorn Noob's ACU, it would seem. But still plenty of shield coverage. Another shield gen going up as we speak. Another little drop from Heaven. This time it's T3, and it could cause all kinds of problems, although actually there's a lot of T2 gunships lying in wait. There goes a T3 Mex. That will hurt quite a lot. Another TAC missile barrage inbound on Unicorn Noob's ACU, but again, no damage done. It might just be going for the nuke launcher as it happens. T3 Mex was wiped out. That drops Unicorn Noob down to 189 mass per tick. Wondering if that nuke block will turn out to be a game changer. All the shields down this time. Will he take out the nuke launcher? Yes, he does. Finally, a very nice strike from Taquito. Manages to bag a T3 power plant kill in the process. Lots of TMD going up now, but you've lost your nuke launcher. That is going to hurt. So, nuclear problems for Team 1. And could potentially be more now that Heaven has got one of his online. Started work on some strategic missile defense now. No bad thing after getting hit with that nuke, but that really was a thing of beauty. I shall have to go back and have a closer look at that on a second run through. That Ithota trying to chase down a megalith over here. It's going to absorb huge amounts of fire from the air and brick fire over here. He's hoping he can do enough damage with the weapons that the Ion Storm will take the megalith out. Still waiting for that Ion Storm to trigger. There it goes. A few bricks likely to die in the process, and some gunships. That megalith on 2,800 hit points. Trying to back up out of there. Literally a cat sneeze away from death. Goodness me, I can't believe it. Just out of range. Very lucky indeed, but it won't take too much of a commitment to bring that puppy down now. Fat Boy nearly complete in the center for Taquito. And the, is that the same one? It is the same one we saw earlier, tangling with Jagged Appliance's Ithota. Badly damaged, but gets a ranking veterancy, finishing off the economy structures of Jagged Appliance down in the bottom right-hand corner. That little attack drops him down to 207. Queer Noob, though, out in the lead by a country mile. Was showing 300, but that might have been reclaim related. Drops down to 277. Still very comfortable lead over Heaven, who's in second place. 240. Unicorn Noob on 224. Fighter screen in place to provide some protection for these Volthus as they roll in to attack that Ethota. No message of defeat for any one player there, so that must have been a Billy nuke. Someone needs to voice tactical nuclear launch detected to warn us casters when that thing's going off. How much would that not fit with the game? You have this lovely feminine computerized voice for strategic launch detective and then just some bloke. Tactical launch detected. That would definitely be a terrible idea. Another impact on the shield of the Fat Boy there. Finishes it off, and that Fat Boy down to around 7,400 hit points. Shield gen depleted. TMD under construction. Taquito will want to hold on to this firebase at all costs. Those TAC missiles still potentially very useful indeed. Finally, a T3 shield gen. Feels like we only ever see T2 shield gens cropping up in games these days. No one ever gets the chance to build T3, but there we go. Ethota from Jagged Appliance chasing down another megalith. Again, trying to get in range. That's going to die in good time, though. Now the two Fat Boys between Eco Noob and Taquito going at it. And they're going to take each other out. There they go. Volthus that were heading for Eco Noob's Fatty are going to change target and go after Queer Noob's Megalith. Where is Team 1's Air Force is the question. Attack missiles going after another megalith back here. In fact, they must have landed a good hit. They've taken 30,000 hit points off that sucker already. Strap bomber in from Heaven. Queer Noob will want to get this back to safe territory so he can reclaim it if he's going to lose it. But the gunship's now under assault from Unicorn Noob. In fact, Unicorn Noob combined with Queer Noob seem to have air dominance for the time being. Another tactical nuke from Eco Noob lands it right in between pretty sensitive structures. We've got the land HQ down here. We've got two T3 power plants. Taquito will not want to be losing those. In fact, if he does lose much more down here, that's going to be him pretty down and out. He's down to 85 mass per tick for the time being. And another tactical nuke inbound. There go the T3 power plants, the T3 HQ. That really does hurt Taquito's positioning and, of course, his ability to fend off attacks on this western approach from Queer Noob, although all of the pressure at the time, for the time being, seems to be coming down the center from Queer Noob. Now a nuke out from Heaven. Where is it going? I can see the attack ping. It's going straight after Queer Noob's ACU. Queer Noob trying to assist a strategic missile defense. He's not moving his commander, and I don't know why. It's inbound. He finishes a bug as well just in time, but now he sees the missile. He starts moving. It's too late now, buddy. Boom, baby. Queer Noob ejected from the game. Oh no, he had no warning sound. The dreaded sound bug strikes once again, and that's a real shame. Queer Noob loses out because he wasn't warned. Yes, he would have lost a lot in that nuke, but he'd still be in it. And that's very interesting indeed, and puts what was looking like a diminishing return down here for Team 2. It was looking like they were slowly going out. The pressure from Queer Noob in the middle. Those megaliths were causing all kinds of problems. The tactical nuke from Eco Noob was stripping Taquito, but look out, they're not done yet. In comes Unicorn Noob going straight after Taquito with an experimental bomber. Where did that come from? Taquito down to 4,100 hit points. Jagged Appliance quick to respond with his ASFs, but he only has to get one more bomb off, although his health on that thing is dropping incredibly quickly into the red. He's trying to line up the shot, famously difficult to maneuver. A shield goes up over the top of Taquito. Down goes the shield gen. He's okay for the moment, but oh my goodness, the Awasar lands on top of him. If you've got to go, you've got to go, and an arse washer to the face will certainly make you go. Goodness gracious me. Taquito ejected in dramatic and glorious fashion by taking a flying experimental to the head. That's such fun when that happens, isn't it? So suddenly it's a 2v2 game, having seen Queer Noob ejected in dramatic fashion. Taquito follows him a couple of minutes later in no less dramatic fashion. 43 minutes gone in this one. Still none the wiser as to where it's going now. We thought like we might have an idea a moment ago. We've got a Tsar under construction now for Heaven at the back here. That's a long way from being completed, however. Jagged Appliance there with his commander. And of course, we're not too far off getting another nuke ready for Heaven as well. So that's a huge ace in the hole for them. 2 Fat Boys under construction for Eco Noob. But yeah, that nuke is a huge, huge game changer. And I have to say, just the level of development, you have to like Team 2's positioning right now. Yes, they're absorbing tactical nukes, but that is going to become less and less effective as time goes on. There are more and more TMDs popping up over here for Heaven. And Heaven actually expanding into Taquito's old stomping grounds. That is not happening in any great fashion from Eco Noob. He's going en masse to produce T2 mexes in the core mass, but there's a lot of mexes over here that are kind of being ignored. I'm guessing, admittedly, the terrain is a little less easy to get to. These 2 mexes you can't get to without going all the way around the headland. I'm sure Eco Noob will work on getting to these, but remember, they've had more time. Queer Noob went out first, and Heaven already has 2 T2 mexes online over there. Core mass being assimilated as well. Another tactical nuke inbound, going straight after these 2 Athotas of Jagged Appliance. One of them very badly damaged indeed. Could this snag the kill? I think it might just stray out of range. Oh, very close indeed. It nicks the edge of him. Takes him down to around 500 hit points. Fat Boy prioritization should kill him off down to 160. And then the Fat Boy strolls out of range. Might as well just take that back to base and reclaim it at this point. Quick airdrop from Jagged, sending NGs out to the mass field over here. Megalith wreck ripe for the plucking. Doesn't seem like there's much Team 1 can do about it. Unicorn Noob repositioning his ASFs. Wondering if he's going to be sending some gunships that way. Doesn't seem to have a coherent plan. So we had Ethotas moving up around towards the center, but just wasting time, giving another move command back down the eastern flank once again. Very narrow channels, choke points. Takes a long time for these big ground units to make progress, to get around the edge. You can't get really huge formations together, so that does potentially leave them open to getting picked off on their way down these canyons. which is nice. It leads to prolonged games, of course. Jagged Appliance about to lose a Colossus here, potentially. Never going to close down the distance on the Fat Boys. Trying to circle around as best they can, but that Tsar has been completed. So only has to buy time now, and it's definitely fair to say that Team 2 have air control, I'd go so far as to say. Look at all the SFs there for Jagged. Plenty more in the middle as well for Heaven. Unicorn Noob comes in for an engage. Of course he has to, but in no danger there. The Tsar, which seems to be making a beeline for Unicorn Noob's ACU, which is widely exposed away from shield coverage. He has got Ioshiva's over here, and they're doing a good job at whittling down the HP on that experimental aircraft carrier, but it's not going to be enough. Down goes Unicorn Noob's ACU, and there's the second nuke out from Heaven. It's going straight after Eco Noob's commander. Eco Noob evacing that position, but it is surely all moot at this point as the Tsar tidies things up in the main base. They were talking about the nuke block earlier, about it being exploity. Nuke misses the commander of Eco Noob, but frankly, what's he got left? And he Control K's capitulating at 47 3/4 minutes, but I just don't think it is exploity. It may well be frowned upon. It may even be officially seen as exploity in the FAF community, but I disagree. It's game mechanics, man. If you can block a nuke, it's why not? You know, surely if you careered your plane into a nuclear warhead and took it out, that would change the whole thing. I suppose actually it would make matters worse, because airburst nukes, that's how they're supposed to detonate, isn't it? But then these aren't people, these are all robots, so they're not going to get radiated, are they? So I don't know. I know very little about just about anything, as you guys know. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. As always, more to come from me in the future, guys. Don't forget, if you feel so inclined, you can support me on Patreon. But until next time, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.